Okay, so we've talked about sewing on the Pfaff Creative Performance 950. Let's flip over and talk about embroidery. With this machine, only 10 dealers were given the opportunity to play with it before it was released, and we happen to be one of them. I'm Megan with Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum, and Rob asked me to kind of throw it through the ringer and give Pfaff some input, and so I want to show you guys what I did on embroidery and some of the things that you're able to do with the embroidery on this fantastic machine that just got announced. So let's talk about the machine itself first. You can see this is a pretty large machine. It's actually the same footprint as the Pfaff Creative Icon 2, and with that, that means that it uses the same kind of unit that it does, meaning you get a whole bunch of hoops included. So one of which is going to be the big boy. This is the Pfaff 350 by 360, or for those of us that think more in inches, it's close to 14 inches square. So that one is really nice. We've also got the 360 by 260. This is going to be more like 9.5 by 14-ish, but I use this hoop a lot. And probably the most popular one a lot of us use is the 260 by 200. So this is a little bit, it's not quite an 8 by 12, but it's around that size, maybe a little shorter. But those are fantastic hoops. And then, of course, it comes with a little 120 by 120, which is close to 4 by 4. Not only does it come with all those hoops, but it does have the capability to use all of the different hoops that Pfaff has, which is so many. They have border hoops, they have magnetic hoops, they have texture hoops, they have everything that you can ever think of for embroidery. And so any of those hoops that you already have on your other machines will work on this one, which is great. I should say your other Pfaffs. A brother hoop won't work on this one. But let's talk about the machine and the screen a little bit. So one thing I'm going to disclaim is that since we got a prototype machine, my screen is probably going to look a little bit different than yours, especially with the embroidery side, because there's one thing during our Zoom call that I told them about, which was very funny to me when I turned the machine on and went to play on the embroidery, and that's that all the designs are in the wrong categories. But that's okay, because Pfaff, once these machines are in the stores, that won't be the case, but since I have a prototype, I thought it'd be fun to show you guys that. So we're going to go ahead and hop in. So on the screen here, you can see everything is words, which is really nice. It does have My Sewnet, and My Sewnet is an app on your phone. It's the embroidery software. It's a library. It's a little bit of everything. So it can actually talk to your phone or your computer very easily via Wi-Fi, so you don't have to use the USBs. Now, there are 2 USB ports on the side. Fun fact, they're fast charging. So you can charge your phone while you're sewing. That's kind of fun. But to get designs, you can still use the USB stick that you're used to, or you can send it via Wi-Fi. I'm going to go ahead and hop into the embroidery side of the machine. And then here we are. So just like we've seen before on like the Pfaff Creative Icon 1, the Pfaff Creative Icon 2, a lot of the organization is going to be the same, but the icons look slightly different, but it's all the same stuff. So over here, I'm going to press the little flower emblem, which will pull up my designs. And you can see I've got built-in designs and designs from My Sewnet. So My Sewnet, I need to log into My Sewnet to actually show you guys what's on there. But the built-in designs, this is where it gets a little funny. There are tons of categories, and I can actually search the design by a tag. So that means if I'm looking for a flower or a leaf, it'll pull up all those that are built into the machine. But the thing that I find the most funny is I was like, ooh, what's built in here? And I go into Holiday, and it's all little miniature designs. And then I went into Fantasy, and it's all kitchen designs. So when you see this machine in person, you won't have that case. But I thought it would be funny to kind of show you guys because we're so excited about this machine. I couldn't wait for the software update to show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go what I assume is going to be in the Holiday section eventually, but it's actually in the quilt right now. And I'm going to scroll up, and it's that time of year, so I'm going to find one of those pretty little fall leaves. So I'm going to click this guy and pull it up so you can see it. So one thing that I like is when you pick a design, it'll automatically pull up the hoop that it thinks that you need. So right now, if I go into hoop options, not Stitch Creator, It does have a stitch creator though, so you can create your own decorative stitches on the machine, along with the sequence creator, so you can tell it what way you want to go. But I can go into hoop options, and there's all those different hoop options, by the way. But I've got the Creative 120 square hoop. That's the one that I have hooped right here, so we are good to go. If I want to edit the design, I can use the little handles here, turn it around. I can put it back to where it was if I want to. So I can tell I'm at 60 degrees. I can move the handle. When I do that, you can see the numbers pop up on the screen, which is a nice reference. You can also make it bigger or smaller. Whoop. I can also move it around. I can either drag it around, or I can use my arrows if I need to be more precise. Put it back in the center. I can mirror the design. I can flip the design. So you really have all sorts of creative freedom with that. I'm going to go ahead and go to Stitch Out because this is the part where it gets kind of cool. So I love the fact that Pfaff has started doing this where it kind of makes a checklist for you as you go through your machine to get ready to stitch out. So right now, she already can sense that I have the zigzag plate on. Most of the time when I'm embroidering, I like the straight stitch plate, but we got so excited I didn't flip it. So you can still embroider with the zigzag plate though. No problem. Isn't going to cause any damage or anything. Ends up really pretty. It's going to tell me what hoop I need and what foot I'm going to have. And I love the fact that they actually included a image of the presser foot as well. Because sometimes those little numbers are really tiny on the presser foot. So just like it has selected here, the 6D foot, I already have that on my machine. Now here's another thing. I can sort color blocks. So if I am doing like a quilt label, but I made quilts for all of my family for Christmas, I can hit sort color blocks and it'll do all the black text at the same time. All of the red, all of the green, all of the yellow, whatever I'm using, it's going to block it so that I don't have to do 20 thread changes. I only have to do 5. So that's really nice. We do have color merge. And with that, one color means that it's monochromatic, which is great. And then active stitch technology. This is one of the coolest things about this machine. With Pfaff, they have the active stitch technology, kind of meters your thread tension along with the fabric that you're using. So I am a sucker for metallics. The main thing that I embroidered is going to be this dress right here. And on this dress, I embroidered all of these little blocks. Still need to rinse some stabilizer out. But I embroidered all these little blocks, and I was able to use the perfect positioning on the machine, along with that chunky metallic thread, to stitch all over the edges of this, along with the collar. So I'm going to put her back down. But if you guys saw this at Tech Party, you saw how beautiful she stitched. It was gorgeous. I was so excited. All right, you're back there. But whenever you have active stitch technology on, I always say if it's a Pfaff design, have that on. If it's like Kimberbell or something, sometimes it's better to let the tension discs do most of the work. All right, we've also got basting, so you can always baste around your design on the machine. You can baste around the design or around the full hoop. So think of when you're using topper, it's going to be a really good thing to add that. And then thread cut options, I always have the last one on because come on, you got to let the thread cutter do its thing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. My arm's going to move, and then she's going to tell me to go ahead and attach the hoop. So I'm going to do so. Once I do, I press OK. And then she's pretty much ready to go. Now, one thing I'm noticing is I don't look like I'm threaded. So I'm going to show you guys the threader on this machine. On this guy. Where is my thread? Oh, wow, it was really small. Okay. So I just go up through there, cut the thread, and then the button is on the same spot as some of my other machines are. So that makes it nice and easy. And then we'll look at the threader. And magic. It worked on that chunky metallic thread too, let me tell you. It was great. Okay, so from here, all I need to do is press play, and she'll go ahead and do her thing. And I'll let you guys watch and see how beautiful she embroiders. And with that, our little leaf is done. So, puppy go fast. I love that. Sorry. One thing I want to point out is you might notice those big long jump stitches. That is part of the thing about the prototype machine. Some of the designs were digitized with those long stitches, and so I did point that out to their team so that that gets fixed a little bit. But I like the way that Pfaff does that because it makes the backside of your embroidery a little bit more flat instead of having a bunch of knots on the back. So it makes it so that if it's something that somebody's going to wear, it's a little flatter and a little more comfortable. So kind of fun. But it was so much fun playing with this machine, throwing it through the wringer with that chunky metallic thread. And then the other thing I thought of while she was stitching and I was doing the embroidery dance, let's be real, we all do it, is I'm able to use a nice big cone of thread too. Because on the top of the machine, there are 2 pegs and then a built-in thread stand. And what's nice is if I'm not using one of those, I can easily just flick that down, and now I can use some of those smaller spools of thread without having to use the thread stand. And I can even tuck everything away whenever it's time for me to go to class or put her away for the night, or if I am just using a small spool of thread and I want a little less clutter up here. So I'll be honest, in my room, she's almost always up because I like big spools of thread. I would definitely recommend come in and check out this new machine in our stores. So the Pfaff Creative Performance 950 was just released, so we'll see them in all of the stores soon. But I think it's an incredible machine, especially if you want a top-of-the-line machine without maybe the projector or things. So come check it out, and thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you see our other videos on the new Pfaff Creative Performance 950. Hey guys, here at Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum, we always like to make sewing fun start here. And so we appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see more like it, check out this playlist. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you know what is happening here. So we'll see you guys next time.